Hi everyone, hope you're having a great Saturday. Welcome to our session. Today we are going to discuss about why blockchain is here to stay. So this is Rohit and he will be helping us with a few questions and answers with you all. Rohit, you can introduce yourself.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Anjana, for hosting us on this Saturday. So my philosophy, in this company has been to basically help other companies, be it NGOs, governments, any organization, private, public, adopt blockchain at a platform level. And the primary objective is to really see the transformation of their understanding and solve business use cases, whatever they have, using blockchain. That has been the real key objective here. And so all our actions in the company, in both venue, are aligned to that, right? And of course, this webinar series that we are hosting, which has been going on for some time, we hosted a couple of them in the past, and we'll be in fact starting a podcast series soon. You know, so this is also in that same line where we really want to help people, learn the fundamentals, right, and truly understand how this can impact their business and growth.
And the first question we all have is that
Sure.
what's your thought on blockchain being a problem looking for solutions?
Sure, absolutely. So this is, I think, key allegation that comes in, and a lot of people have that allegation that okay, blockchain is really just a cool technology without real application, right? However, let me assure you that is absolutely not the case. I mean, the only reason that allegation comes in or that question comes in people's mind is because it has not yet reached the level of adoption that people expect it to be, right? And expectations are always high, when people are starting off with any new cool technology. So that is the same case here. Like when you start off with any new social network, your expectation is very high. Okay, this will be pretty awesome. This will pretty much break the internet, and so on and so forth. But I mean, that's not always the case. So given that that has been the expectation, and this expectation will actually come in, or will actually match people, will be when this really proliferates across the backend, right? And fundamentally, if you notice, blockchain is a backend technology. It's not a front end technology, right? It helps you in multiple ways. It helps any business in multiple ways, but it remains in the backend and invisible to the customer. So there will never be a situation where a customer will be able to say, "Oh wow, I can see this blockchain action." No, because that is happening in the back. Right? You'll be able to see a form factor of it in the front end. Now, if I really go into the application side, and which can really negate this question, is that there are a couple of really hotshot applications that are there already in the market where blockchain is truly changing the game in the backend side, right? And for example, one of them is logistics and supply chain, right? And in fact, one of the biggest companies in the world, Walmart, have already started adopting blockchain in their fresh goods supply. So basically, all the groceries and fresh fruits that you get, right, you can actually pretty much track the full chain of it, right, from farm to fork. Right? So from point it originates in the farm to the wholesaler, to the supplier, to the retailer, and then to your table. Everything can be traced end to end. So I mean that is something revolutionary. Like that was not possible in a transparent manner earlier before blockchain.
And when it comes to blockchain, all people will think only of crypto.
Yep.
So, what do you think there are other powerful applications apart from crypto?
Absolutely. Good question. So I think one of the applications which I just came in right now, is the logistics supply chain example. Apart from that, there are a lot of use cases where blockchain has already proliferated beyond a POC level to a production level. For example, trade finance. Now, trade finance, a lot of people may not be aware of this domain, but trade finance is very regulated, um, asset heavy, right? And more importantly, a very like per transaction heavy business. So the per transaction volume is very high, right? Because ultimately import export, right? The bottom line. So now again, if you look at the whole import export industry or trade finance industry, there are a lot of players inside, right? There is a supplier, there's a receiver, there's a transporter in between. Sometimes these are multiple companies, sometimes similar companies, right? And there again, the problem of trust comes in. That how do you really trust, right, the whole situation the whole money flow that is happening in trade, the whole goods that is going from here to there. So the problem of traceability is common across logistics, supply chain, trade finance, banking sectors, insurance sectors. So insurance is a big sector for us. So we work heavily with a lot of uncertainties. And we solve the claims problem, primarily by helping them really understand the case history and to on the chain. And also adding a smart contract which can typically just quantify, okay, this much claim needs to process if these conditions are happening. Because if you notice, that's all an insurance company does. Right? They check your insurance history, they check your policy, and then they process the claim. That's all. Right. So technically, all that, if it is put on blockchain, reduces the paperwork and back and forth between hospital, the insurance, and the TPA. Right? That's what we're doing.
Okay. And the next question we have is, why do you think blockchain is not for the long term?
Good question. So I'll have to go into a story here to explain why blockchain is there for the long term. So if you notice the beginning of the internet, a lot of people might not know here because both of us are very young, and I think the audience is also very young. But for people who remember, I can just go back in time and tell it. So back in 1989, 90, when the internet was starting up, at that time, not a lot of people know about it, but buying online, like e-commerce, which you do very frequently right now, was illegal online on 1989, 90, before 93. 93 was the year which really changed the game for me. And interestingly enough, you'll notice that 1989, 90 was a period of recession. 93 to 2000 was a period of economic boom. Right? So you can see the parallel and just the power of buying online on internet gave to the economy. So that was the boost that the economy got just from that uh, ability to buy online. Now, if I think just that fact of it being illegal on the internet before '93, I think a lot of people would have drawn parallels, and even I see a parallel of that with that cryptocurrency. So right now, cryptocurrencies are illegal in India, and not just in India, a lot of other countries. You cannot really buy or exchange cryptocurrencies from your fiat, like your bank account. Now, that's one parallel, a major parallel that I see. A second major parallel that I see here, and which really makes me feel that this is here for the long term, is just like the internet really gave a boost to the economy and led to a whole new slew of business models, economic models, right? Same thing I'm seeing for blockchain, right? It's actually not just helping existing businesses, it's also helping new businesses start completely new ones, which were never seen before. And that is because it's actually a fundamental shift in architecture. It's a fundamental shift in the way we conduct business. Instead of client server architecture, now we are completely peer-to-peer architecture. So, given that it's a complete rethinking of architecture, there have to be new business models. There have to be completely new thoughts, which a lot of businesses are doing now. So, and when you start a new business model or a new process, inevitably some of them fail. Right? Inevitably some of them merge. Just like when you start the web bands, and MySpace and all these guys, they shut down. They had to, right? Because somebody else came in and he beat them. Same thing will happen to them. So eventually we'll see convergence of models. Eventually we'll see coming up and saying, okay, that yes, I have this new model which I can leverage, right? And which is much, much better than the existing models that are there in the market. And then you will see real customer adoption. So I think it will take like at least a decade before we can reach that level. But yes, I see a lot of parallels with the internet in this case, and that's why I clearly believe this for the long term, just like the internet.
Okay. Apart from these parallels, what are the other parallels you can mention?
Sure, absolutely. Now coming back to that story, so one fact, surprising fact which I learned about was the illegal one, which I told you, right? Now, another interesting thing, which a lot of people would not know, is that apart from the regulatory part, it was actually technically unfeasible to add a payments button or a payments process inside your browser at that time. Now, this also is surprising. Like right now, we take Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, Amazon Buy, Amazon Pay, right? All one-click options, basically. All these for granted. So these are already there in the market. We have been using it for a long time. And they all seem natural to us, right? But back in the day, in 93, 94, as soon as it became legal to buy on the internet, there was no good way to actually make a purchase on the browser. Right now, a natural question would come to a reader: why? Why was there no way? Why was there no good way to really just simply buy something? Reason for that is when these guys, and again, an interesting story there. So when these guys, the whole creators of Netscape, first, pretty much the first browser, Anderson Horowitz and all these guys, when they went to Visa Mastercard to say, okay, that hey, we want to use your credit card switch, right, to enable our customers to buy online on the browser. Now, logically, theoretically, it seems feasible, but what happened was in the demo, this is how the demo went. So these guys, they took a laptop, right? They took a desktop there, laptop there, showed the demo to them, the browser demo, and asked them, okay, that hey, can we connect to your, credit card switch to enable customers to buy? Right? Now, that the person who was being pitched to was a tech leader, a tech visionary of Mastercard. So pretty much the top guy, maybe CTO or something. Right? So he was very technically savvy. Now, these guys had a Macintosh laptop, and a mouse. Right? This guy, the tech visionary, he did not know what a mouse was. He was used to, the normal laptops, the desktops that existed before that. And he just went on the browser and pressed a button, pressed a screen on the browser. He didn't know what about a mouse was. Like this was the tech leader of Mastercard that he was, right? Now, you can imagine that if Mastercard, Visa at this stage, the banks were even at a worse stage. So they did not really know how technology worked and how to adopt new technology, like a mouse. Right? Now, if you don't know what a mouse is, how can you actually integrate, have them integrate, full-fledged payments platform on the browser? Right? So this was a classic bottleneck that came in at that time. This is actually referred to as the original sin of the internet in a lot of cases. Now, what we are seeing here with blockchain and the parallel that I see here is that we are again revisiting classic similar problems. How do you really make simple peer-to-peer transactions or online transactions happen on the blockchain in a very fast and effective manner? Right? So that's a very, very major parallel that I see. But the good thing here, which is different from internet, is that now we have a chance to rectify that, because now we are much more advanced in terms of tech. The banks, the trading companies, the whole fintech ecosystem pretty much is very advanced in technology. They pretty much know all types of computer components. They pretty much know all types of APIs in the market. There are a whole new kind of payment layers in the market, Swift, Ripple, all across. So, and this is just one vertical payment that I'm talking about. But if you take just this example, you see that one part has a major parallel, and then the other part has a major scope of improvement, right? And really rectifying that old sin. So this is one of the key reasons that excites me a lot about blockchain.
Okay. And can you tell us about the long-term activities that is happening in this?
Sure, absolutely. So a lot of them. One key activity that has been happening overall, if you look at the blockchain space, is really a focus on the infrastructure level. So different, so if you just look at the internet, it is built up of an infrastructure, underlying infrastructure that is there, which is in terms of servers, libraries, packages that support the software, like operating systems. Right? Then you have applications on top of it, right? And then finally you have form factor, that is either an Android app or iOS app or web app. So this is how a typical internet application is structured, or any internet deliverable is structured. Right? So if you compare it with the blockchain right now, the stage where we are at in blockchain is the first one. That is the infrastructure. So we have not yet solved it completely. We're still tracking it. A lot of improvements are happening, especially on the speed and scalability of the infrastructure, because that is very important. Because only when once you have a strong fundamental infrastructure, only then you can really build scalable applications on top of it. So if we speak about infrastructure, you will notice Bitcoin has launched Lightning Network. Ethereum is also trying to add a lot of technological advancements on its platform to improve the speed and the scalability. Right? So these are things that are currently the major focus. Long-term improvements are happening, and they will continue happening. Right? They won't happen in a day or two. They'll take years to happen. In parallel, then The good thing is entrepreneurs have started building applications, and they've really started adopting the infrastructure in the best way possible. So, for example, one of the key use cases we discussed was supply chain. Right? Right. Then, apart from supply chain, trade finance was one we discussed. Similar to that, I'll just slightly touch upon the insurance. Now, in insurance sector, as I was briefly describing earlier, the problem that comes in is the classic problem of trust. Right? You have the hospital, then you have the customer, and then you have the insurance company. Right? These are three players that are there in any insurance transaction. Now, if you go out to claim your insurance policy, what would happen is that your hospital guy, he would have to coordinate with the TPA, which is the admin in between. TPA is a third-party administrator. What these third-party administrators do is that, as the name implies, they basically act as a middleman, right, between the hospital and the insurance company, right, in terms of coordination. Now, this hospital guy, what he would have is he would have access to your policy, he would have access to your bills, your invoices, everything. All the claims that you have done in the past in that hospital, all the medical records, he would have. The TPA will need to coordinate and align and verify those things. Right? So the TPA basically acts on behalf of the insurer to verify and to process. Because most of the claims, they actually get rejected in the first stage. Right? Because either because you have already claimed this policy before, or this disease is not covered, or the amount is not covered, whatever. Hundreds of reasons. And only then it passes on to the next stage. In the next stage, then you have the insurance company. Right? So now you can see insurance company, TPA, hospital, and the customer. None of these guys, they trust each other. Right? Because that is why they maintain their own databases and intuitively and naturally so, because it's a monetary transaction. It's a heavy monetary transaction. 100 rupees or 200 rupees is pretty much like thousands, lakhs of rupees, right? And there are a lot of frauds happening, on insurance that we have seen in Haryana and a lot of other regions happening. But now, given that we've established this problem of trust that is already existing in these three players in the insurance vertical, the question comes: how do you really solve it? How do you really solve the problem of trust? So you solve the problem of trust by removing the humans from the equation and removing the human dependency and saying, okay, I guess you need to maintain a database copy with each of them. What you do is you keep the whole data decentralized on the blockchain, so that everybody has the access, right? And at the same time, they have permissioned access. So this is very important. There are different types of blockchains. Two key categories would be permissioned and permissionless. Permission blockchain, with the ones that we are talking about here for trade finance, this one, fintech, insurtech, what they do is they allow people to codify permissions within chains. That you can actually define, okay, this particular organization would have access to this particular data, right? And that is very important, because that is what really ensures that your data is decentralized, but still there is an issue of, there's a concept of trust. Because now you're trusting the system. You're not trusting a person. Right? So insurance company says, okay, now I don't need to trust the hospital because I have access to my own data. So I can update, I can verify, I can tally, everything. Plus nobody can tamper with it because that's how blockchain works. So it's tamper-proof, it's immutable, it's auditable, right? And you can digitally verify the ownerships as well. That is very, very significant. Like this has not been possible till now. History of the internet. Like till now, it was literally possible to fake every digital transaction. Right? All your bank transactions can be faked. Right? Just the bank ID. But now, the way blockchain works, like you cannot really fake a transaction. Because if you try to fake it, then what will happen is the other peers and the other nodes will realize, hey, this is a wrong transaction, and the protocol does not accept it. So that will get rejected in the first step. So.
Okay. And do you suggest any reading materials for these naysayers and who objects to this blockchain
Sure.
concept?
Sure, absolutely. So I think there will always be naysayers in any new technology, any new concept that comes along. And the idea is not to completely dismiss them. Obviously, you need to be respectful and you need to really see it from their point, because a lot of times the questions that they're asking are valid, and it actually helps you strengthen your own use case. It's actually like positive feedback. It's like, and what I realized is the best positive feedback actually comes from strangers or naysayers. Not from friends, because friends are always looking at, yeah, okay. They really don't want to dissect. Exactly. Exactly. So they support you, they don't want to hurt you and all that. So they won't really be honest with you. So it's very important to really understand what other people are saying. So coming to the naysayers, I think one of the key allegations has been one which we discussed is scalability, right? And what are the long-term improvements that are happening. So, given that these long-term improvements have already started and we are already seeing progress here, um, so I see that just the basics of Bitcoin, the basics of Ethereum, which are really the core fundamental originating factors of blockchain. That's how blockchain started. So you started off with Bitcoin, then you had Ethereum and a whole new slew of blockchains came out, right? Now you have private permission blockchains as we discussed. So the key here will be for naysayers to really understand and to get their head around is the fundamentals of Bitcoin, number one. So that is simply there on the Bitcoin.org white paper. So the website, the white paper of Bitcoin. Now, what that white paper will help is that white paper will help clarify the fundamentals of how Bitcoin really solved some of the existing problems that were there in decentralization. So it's very important to understand here that decentralization is not a new concept. Decentralization has been in there in the minds of people, even in the form of research papers and small POCs for a long, long time, even before we started using emails and all that. However, the problem with decentralization was multiple. Like there were a lot of problems that were there which were not practically solved at that time, or nobody had solved it, so to say. But now, given that Bitcoin actually solved some of those problems in their white paper, right, and they actually proved it and it worked, right, that was the vision. That was what kickstarted the whole blockchain ecosystem into place. Before the blockchain was not known, people did not know what blockchain was. Right? So I would really encourage all the naysayers, all the listeners, anybody who really, not just naysayers, but anybody who really wants to understand the fundamentals. The starting point should be the white paper of Bitcoin or the white paper of Ethereum. Right? I think these two major platforms should really help you out. That's one. Second would be, we have our own webinars, of course, like this one. So in all these webinars, we keep covering a lot of topics, right, including decentralization, like this one, blockchain is here to stay. And then we covered killer apps of blockchain last time. So these webinars are sort of an interactive and engaging way for them to work. They can actually get their head around. They can also ask the questions. So because naysayers will always have questions, right? So happy to answer them. Then beyond this, there are a lot of good ebooks in the market, which are primarily based on the fundamentals of blockchain. A lot of them are available on Amazon. In fact, we also have published one some time back. So, and a lot of them are pretty good, like the top 3 or 4. I read the top 3 or 4 of them in the Indian market, and they're quite good, very illustrative, explanatory, right? And yeah, completely just go through the flow, understand the application end to end, see how it works. So these 3-4 resources I think should be very, very good reading material for all the listeners and naysayers.
Thank you. Yeah, I am done with my questions now. So let's look at this YouTube question.
Sure,
and
absolutely.
let's answer them as well.
Absolutely. So guys, we are done with the Q&A session here. If you guys have any questions, be it any form on the fundamentals, concepts, applications, or the company, feel free to ask us in the chat. Okay, we have one. Right. Like you mentioned for logistics, how do you see blockchain changing traditional ERPs? Right, great question. So ERPs, if you notice, have primarily been a very centralized ecosystem, right? And ERPs have been very useful to big companies, marketplaces especially. In fact, almost all the major players in the market use it right now. And main problem that ERP solves is that it provides a great link between the backend processes that are happening, be it finance, operations, and the front end, right, on the consumer side. So, and this front end could be my owner of the, say, storehouse, right? Or say I have a kirana store, the owner of that kirana store, or say I run a chain of hotels. right? And the owner of each of these hotels, or the receptionist at each of these hotels. So these are the people that benefit from ERPs. Right? Now, the problem that ERPs face, and it's a latent problem, it has not yet come in the limelight yet, but it will soon enough, is that these ERPs are primarily one-way information, right? In the sense that you can, like, somebody has to update the data, right, in the backend, be it the finance or the operations department or whoever is the feeding point, and then the other party has to fetch it from the ERP. So it's like a one-way flow of information. Right? It's not a two-way flow. In some cases, some ERPs have done two-way flow as well, but then that two-way flow is still centralized in the sense that it is still on a central server, on a central database. Now, let us say one of the ERPs gets hacked, right? The major players gets hacked, like Pinnacle or anyone, and then your whole bank goes down, your whole ecosystem of that business goes down, right? Primarily because they were aligned just on one centralized database, right? And that hack may not just be on the data level; it might also be at the code level, right? So the problem with traditional ERPs is that not just the data is centralized, your code is also centralized. Your code also sits in, say, a couple of servers in Bombay, somewhere, right? Now, what blockchain will do is that it will decentralize data, number one. Second, it will decentralize the code, number two. And number three, it will also allow all the parties, right, involved in that chain, in the ERP, like say the hotel manager or the receptionist, all of them to really update, data in real time, right, without the need for a central trusting. Okay, guys. Then we have a few minutes. Great. So, yeah, good question. I think for students, the real interest in blockchain lies at two levels. One is at the platform or the protocol itself, but this is fundamentally new. It's like, think of it like this: like if somebody were to come and tell you that you have the opportunity to participate in structuring and defining the internet, like how internet should work. I mean, how exciting would that be, right? Like everybody would jump on that. Like you would jump on that, right? I would jump on that, right? So I mean, that is supremely exciting. So that like same thing is happening here on blockchain. Right? So you're like literally defining a new era, defining a new protocol, right? So I think it's like super exciting for the students to really just get their hands on, tinker around there. More importantly, what they can also do is leverage it at a professional. And this I speak because we are also in the upskilling domain. Right? So we have students train, professors train students in universities, right? And also in coaching centers and all of other places. So we observe that the demand for blockchain jobs is pretty drastic. So that is number two. So I think just at the tinkering level and even at a professional level, students will be pretty much happy with it.
Yeah, and we have
Okay. Then we have, what do you think Indian companies as other features? Okay, great. Yeah. Mm, So what will happen is, I mean, this is what I predict. The governments are always the last adopter, of any technology, and this is true not just of blockchain, but literally anything, like just internet as well. If you notice, to go in any Sarkari department, you would notice they're like still using the old desktops, right? So government will always be the last adopter, no question about that. But what we can do to convince them of the benefits and really speed up the process is show that this is actually a wheel in motion and this is not stopping. So I think this has been true with almost all tech. Like if you notice, like once Facebook came around, WhatsApp came around. Now even if the government wants to ban Facebook, they will not be able to, right? Because the community is so powerful, right, that they want to use it. So they will use it no matter what. They will maybe find a VPN or they will maybe fly overseas or use out some other country. They will use it, right? So that's something that will happen here. So I think just showing them that this is a way in motion and it's impossible to stop, number one. And more importantly, number two, really showing these long-term applications we talked about and bringing them to production, right? And showing the benefits of them. Plus, I think number three, which is I think super important in this time, just this year, this very moment, is the impact on economy. Like we are literally helping create jobs in the market, right? And right, the whole country is in a recession. The economy is pretty much down. I don't think it can go further down, right? So, um, if you can show these benefits, and I think the government realizes some of them, but yes, we need to highlight them further. I think you'll be set.
How can it help in providing a solution to job creation for me?
Right. So I think job solution we discussed
Yeah, it's
just this
already
one,
been
right?
discussed.
We'll skip this one.
We are a tech startup and are looking for upskilling our developers and staff in blockchain. Do you have any recommendations for course?
Sure. Yeah. Mm, Sure. So I think so. One, course is there up on BlockGeeks. So BlockGeeks is a pretty popular website. They have a small course online. So the first course, of course, they have is very basic one. I think a couple of hours. It's free of course. Just check it out. Um, but that will not really qualify as a full course, and that will not give you full understanding. So to really get the full understanding, what we would advise is to either use any of our paid courses, which we are launching with universities. In fact, I think a good way could be if you are in a university or if you work with a university which has not yet adopted a blockchain course, we're happy to talk because we are already tying up a lot of universities across South India, West India, Delhi, North India as well. So happy to talk to them and provide actually a full-fledged course inside your curriculum. You can also do it outside your curriculum if you want, and do it outside your college hours. And that would be like a separate course, not included in your degree. Good. I think that should be it. Yeah, yeah, I think that should be it. I don't think we have
Yeah,
further
I
questions
think-
from the audience. Yeah, yeah,
I think, yeah, we're done with the questions and happy with the session
Sure.
today. And they have got the answers, whatever the
Sure.
questions they have today. So we'll wind it up today and we'll see you all in the next session.
Thanks everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Much
so
pleasure.
much.